Good afternoon, everyone. And first, I want to thank the Historic Trust for inviting me to speak and for what they do every day. My name is Ahmed Dennis, and I self-identify as a Virgin Islander. I'm not here to define for you what a Virgin Islander is, but I'm going to tell you what it means to me to come from these lands. So, let me introduce you to my little world. I grew up in a little bubble, and my people from this land, from this soil. I grew up on the west end of the island. My great-grandparents were in Savan, and then they went up to Agnes Fancy. My grandmother, my father's side from Tatola. This is our land. I also want to introduce you to my family. Right? You want to meet my family?
Please.
My great-grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, and all my cousins there. A lot of them. Right? In Tatola. They're everywhere. This is my family. I grew up in this little bubble, and this is all I knew. I didn't travel to the States to visit anyone, except for 2 weeks when I was 8 or 9 years old. That's it. All my cousins lived here. All my family lived here. My cousins didn't travel. I never heard them come back and say, oh, I went to such and such a place and I learned all of this. Nobody. I did have uncles. An uncle that lived in Chicago. Oh, let me take him out. Because his family didn't live here. His children didn't live here. He didn't live here. They didn't bother me. But have you ever wondered that one day you wake up and your family gone, but they didn't all die? That happened to me. I was 16 years old when I went to school. I can't believe I'm getting emotional. 16 years old when I went to school. And I came back, and my cousins didn't come back. But that was still okay. I came back from college, that was okay. Because I still had my uncles, my aunts, my great-grandparents, my grandparents. Stayed here for 4 years. Don't hold it against me, I did work at Guava. But then I went away again. And when I came back, my great-grandparents were gone. My grandmother was gone. My father was gone. My uncles gone. This is all left. My cousins who had families never came back. So this is it. This is the family that I knew. And it impacted me because every time I go into the plane, I tell people this all the time, I used to cry. I was going back to a great job, but I wasn't getting the connection that I needed because the family was no longer sitting around the table telling stories about being in Savannah in a one-room house with a one-room school, with a big yard, with a communal yard, with all multiple houses, using our language. Not happening. And then you're in the middle, so you're not getting the elder stories anymore. And my cousins didn't come back. So then I don't have any stories to share with my cousins about growing up. Going crabbing with my father. In the middle of the night, it rained. Come, let's go. The hole full of water, they crab them out. You go down with a cooler bag. And you go with a flashlight. You stun the crab with a flashlight, put it in the eye, so you blind him. Pick it up, you put it in the bag. And I shake in the bag, oh, the crab, I'm climbing up. No, don't shake it so hard. You'll break the crab then. Right? And I have those stories to tell. Sitting under a mango tree, eating mango, playing hide and seek, climbing up in the tree, hiding behind boulders, going to the market with my grandmother. With all things stew tamarind, stew mango, stew guava berry, because she was a farmer. All her plants, everything. She get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, load up my uncle's truck, and she there at 5 o'clock in the morning at the market. So every time I came home, I would meet new people, and I would ask them, how you get here? Meeting people. Oh, I come here because I came on vacation, I fell in love with the place, and I spent my last dime to come here. How you get here? Oh, I'm retired now, and you know, I can't take the cold anymore, so I decided I'll go up part-time to the States and live here. How you get here? Oh, I come from another island, and my family was here, and I heard there's plenty of work, so I moved here. Never did, right? My family disappearing. The people I know disappearing. Oh, by the way, the new people, you have children. The little baby children, right? So, now, unless they are actively mingling with the local people, they bring their own traditions and their own culture. And now, we are no longer the dominant voice because we are a minority. So what do we do? I search and I search, and every time I come home, I've come home for a little bit of time in between, stay for a couple of years. And my mother would say, I ain't getting comfortable with you coming home because you're gonna leave again. Because nothing was keeping me here. And I wasn't crying because I miss my mother. I talk to her 10 times a day. I still talk to her 10 times a day, right? I wasn't crying because I gonna miss the beach. The beach will be here when I come back. I was crying because I couldn't get enough of, I wasn't absorbing enough of my culture when I came home. And here I am. I go away, back to a foreign place that I can't make or joke them because they don't understand me. You know, I can't be myself because I'm in a foreign place, and then I come home and I feel like a foreigner in my own place. So I decided, and this time I'm staying home because I've created a new little book. It's called the Creative Native. And I'm only one voice in the community. There are many voices, but this is my story. When I started the Creative Native, I didn't take pictures of this because this doesn't tell you anything about us. This tells you we live in a very beautiful place, but it tells you nothing about the people. This image of my mother's hands, and she's holding sugar cane, and I tell the story. This is called the gift of freedom, and I tell the story that the women have shaped us, our community, our culture. And I start the story in 1878 with the three queens that burned down over 50 sugar plantations and half of the town of Fredericksburg. My mother and I have a running joke because whenever I tell people it's my mother's hands, like, oh. And then they ask me, is your mother still alive? So whenever she comes in, I say, don't tell me it's my mother. Because you look too young, and they ain't gonna want to buy the handle anymore. But this is the #1 seller in the gallery. And every time they say, can I take a picture of the story? So every gift item that they buy, it comes with the story. This image of Bomba Alec on the island of St. Croix, blowing the conch shell, brings the story full circle of why those women in 1878 took matters in their own hands 30 years after the emancipation of slavery. Because we became contract workers, but they were barely paying them enough for the work that they did. So we talk about the threat from this guy, and I use his name, General Butho, that threatened the Danish government and said, we want our freedom now. Because for some strange reason, the Danish thought it was a great idea to say, everyone who born from this day forward, you are free. But we have a 12-year plan for everybody else who's enslaved. Well, that wasn't going to work. So General Butho took matters in his own hands and blew the conch shell to emancipate the enslaved. And that's why we honor the conch shell as a symbol of freedom. The people take this in. A lot of Danish people buy this image. For some reason, they carry a guilt. I said, don't carry any guilt. We are better off for what we've been through. We earned that. We fought for it. As a matter of fact, I had a family this week from Denmark. And the child, she's probably a teenager, asked me, do you hate Danish people? I was like, no. Slavery happened everywhere, to multiple races. I don't hate you. It happened, it's over, we moved on. This image of these hands making dumb bread. Oh, can't get out. These are Barbara Peterson's mother's hands. They flew her in for me to do this story.
Aww.
Specifically. And I chose her hands because the series is called Feed Them. And it talks about the elders being the stewards of the community. So it wasn't unusual to say, I use my great-grandmother as an example. Miss Louise, I'm coming back and dropping off my children. But she'd already have 6 children of her own. But you don't turn the children away because the community takes care of the community. Her hands embodies the story because she's been feeding the community free breakfast since 1995, Christmas morning at the Emancipation Garden. And she don't have to do it. She did it because she loves the community. As a matter of fact, I sat down with her while she was making the dumb bread, and she said she don't even like to cook. But she does it. She comes every year, November, to prepare for this. She don't like to cook because she had a lot of siblings and she had to take care of all of them. But she does it for the community. This story, this is Felipe's. Mauby is not unique to the Virgin Islands. It's actually made throughout the Caribbean. So we're not going to appropriate it and say it's our own. But my grandmother used to make it. I used to drink it at dinner time. It's a dying art. You can't get good Mauby everywhere. Now, whenever I talk about this and the dumb bread, the visitors ask, where can I get some Mauby? Where can I get some dumb bread? So I send them to the House of Pastries for dumb bread. And I send them to the little place in front of the greenhouse for Mauby. I know these people are like, where is random people coming from asking for Mauby and dumb bread? Because they don't know, they didn't grow up here. But this image I talk about, my grandmother used to make it. It could be light and refreshing. I talk about why you call Mauby working hard. You know, you make the drink with the bath, with the spices, and you put it out into a hot sun. And when the head form, that's when I say, I might be working hard. As a matter of fact, I had a woman in last week who is a Virgin Islander, and she was testing me. She's like, you really from here? What made this special? Why is this image special? I said, because of the head. She said, okay, you from here. This image, oops, upside down. I talk about guava berry and the tradition of making guava berry. And this could be just any ordinary image of some bottles with some berries. Sometimes people look at it, they try to figure out what it is in the pot. But then I talk about the generations of people that make the guava berry. And we never let the bottle go empty. So when that person that passes away, that wine still have your ancestral flavors in it. And it goes to the next generation. This Demijohn, this wine, came from my great-grandmother. So it's been in my family for 4 generations. I don't think my mother come by it honestly. You know how that happens? Sometimes it'll get passed on, sometimes people are swiping. Anyway, we won't talk about that. Because my aunt making 95 today and there, I was on, what happened to Mommy Demijohn? This Demijohn and this wine has been in my father's family for 3 generations. These berries, you know, guava berry fetches $25 to $35 a pound. A lot of money. Okay, I have dogs, so just letting you know. Because I have 11 trees in my yard that my grandmother and my father planted. Some of the trees are over 70 years old. We don't just inherit traditions, we also inherit the land and the fruit trees that they planted that we have to take care of. That's important. So this is a come from my blackberry. And when I returned home, all the 11 trees dead. And I had no idea what to do. But my mother still there, right? Right. She know nothing. She's a city girl. She grew up in Savannah, which is important for people to understand. Each one of us that grew up here have a different voice because we have a different experience. She's a Sabanero. And then you got people that say, we from up street, we from down street, we from ghettos, we from Annas, we from all kind of different places, and each one of those communities have a different lived experience. And those voices need to be heard as well. I call myself a bush girl, right? I always say I'm going to the bush because I grew up in a garden that my grandmother harvested all these trees. And then this image, the last image, is that of a cold woman. And I'm going to confess to you something. I've been away for a very long time, for 30 years, on and off. And I always tell people I am a nerd. Don't get me wrong, I'm very proud to be a nerd. I used to skip history class to hang out in the chemistry lab. Okay? What that meant was I wasn't connecting to the history being told because it was mostly American history. And we get a snippet of Caribbean history. But by the time they get to Caribbean history, they lost me because I couldn't connect to what was being said. So this cold woman, although it is the most powerful image that I've created to date, I didn't know her history until I created the image. I studied her. So this is a series of 3. I call it Strong, Wise, and Resilient. So what am I saying about us as a people? We are disappearing, yes. But we can preserve who we are from the past. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. We are going to transform. Culture is going to evolve because none of our culture is completely Virgin Islands culture. We know we have European influence. We know we have influence from other Caribbean islands. But we need to capture some of these things that when we were growing up existed and share it with the world. So now my new world, my new little bubble in a little building, 18 Jonaghan's Garda, I don't have my family to talk to anymore, not a lot of them, but I talk to the world and I share our story. And people who are from the Virgin Islands come in and people tear up. Not just Virgin Islanders, but people who are not from here. I inspire them to do the same for their culture. So on closing, before we disappear, if you live here, if you're from here, if you moved here, instead of just giving your next generation furniture, jewelry, write a little story about what it was like to live here. Why did your parents move here? What are the ancestors? If you were multi-generational Virgin Islander, what was it like? Because I lost a whole lot of history because I was a nerd. But now at 50 plus, I don't have to tell you, right? Now I am appreciating our history. We may not touch the generation right now where they are because they're busy living life. But imagine opening up that vault in 50 years and they see that letter. Share it. Share it with the world and share it with your family. And that's how we preserve us before we disappear.
Oh my God.